So James Carville went on Chris Cuomo, and he had a lot to say about the noisy left that is obsessed with identity. And this is him. I don't have a video clip, but I'm just going to read it in his voice. The whole noisy identity left is 15% of the Democratic Party. 2/3 of Republicans agree with these loony insurrectionists and this kind of stuff. Yet we pay such a terrible price politically for a slightly more fringe element of our party. Okay, so what he's saying there is 15% of the Democratic Party is, according to him, like identity obsessed leftists. But we pay a bigger price, Democrats do, for those 15% than what Republicans pay for the 2/3 of them who believe that the election was stolen and, like, you know, Trump actually won in Arizona or whatever. He's not wrong about that. He's not wrong that, like, what the way I would put it would be that, like, let's say people who are like abolish ICE, which I agree with, and defund the police, which I agree with, but I'm a fringe lefty, that we get more shine and we have to, like, we are heralded and not heralded, but we are put into the spotlight by right wingers, and asked by Democrats to condemn us, right? You know, that Ilhan Omar saying something very on point about how both the United States and the Taliban have terrorized the Afghan people, that Republicans, the Democrats have to run, you know, defense to that small opinion, which is a good opinion, but it's like relatively a small number of Democrats that hold that opinion. Whereas Republicans are just openly endorsing insurrection and openly saying that it is fine to contest this election, and yet openly not saying that Trump actually did lose, and they never get held to account for that. So in that, I think he's right. I think he is right. He calls it the whole noisy identity left. However, the identity left. Now, what do we mean by identity left? I'm sure he means people who think that race and racism matter, right? Because this is the way he says it. The most important constituents in our party are blacks and suburban women. First of all, I don't like the way you said blacks. They're not into this, all right? And again, we're seeing it time and again. We're letting a noisy wing of our party define the rest of us. And my point is, we can't do that. I think these people are kind of nice people. I think they're naive. I think they're all into language and identity, and that's not right. They're not storming the Capitol, but they're not winning elections. And I think some people see that for what it is, and people way more interested in their lives and how to improve them than they are in somebody else's pronouns or something. People are more interested in their lives than someone else's pronouns or something. Well, someone else's pronouns might actually get them killed or not. Someone else accepting someone else's pronouns is a difference between life and death for many trans people in this country. So have a little bit of a problem with that. But you see the way he's going. It's Democrats are too concerned with their little fifi pet issues that are supposedly trans issues, right? That is so fringe, and that, you know, they're too into talking about being black and brown and how Black Lives Matter and blah 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 blah, and they need to just win elections. Cori Bush, Black Lives Matter organizer. She why am I blanking on where she's from? In Minnesota, right? You guys, my brain is on my cat. Cori Bush won St. Louis. Thank you. Missouri, not Minnesota. Cori Bush won her election. The squad is growing. Now, I think James Carville needs to be direct. He needs to say, we centrist Democrats are losing elections. Y'all are losing elections. But the people talking about Medicare for all, the people talking about Black Lives Matter, the people talking about a Green New Deal, the people talking about climate change, the people talking about, you know, justice for the LGBTQ community, those people are winning elections. Pramila Jayapal has a trans kid, is openly talking about that. Keeps winning her election, right? Katie Porter. These are people who are winning their elections. In fact, I would argue that the so-called fringe of the Democratic Party is the only reason that Democrats even win at all. That the squad is the only reason that people still have any faith in the Democratic Party, because we're actually electing better Democrats. Because we've got people like Justice Dems out there in front, you know? That's why. So it's, and I just think it's so ridiculous also to equate, because I think what happens is a lot of centrist Democrats, a lot of news outlets and anchors, they equate the right's fringe with the left's fringe. Well, the left's fringe wants crazy things like, you know, healthcare for everybody and childcare. And the right wants a white power police state that overturns elections and stops teachers from teaching about critical race theory. What? These two things are not equal, you know? And to the Republicans' credit, they see that the most energy, devoid of morals, they see the most energy in their party is coming from a fucking far-right Nazi movement. And they're like, yeah, I think we'll go with that. Yeah. Oh, Lauren Boebert, you know, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Matt Gaetz, MAGA. Hell yeah, let's go with that. We'll do that. Mitch McConnell's like, ooh, let's do that, because that will get our agenda passed. Ooh, yeah. And Democrats are too stupid to realize that their energy is not only different, but it's where the energy is in the Democratic Party. And that Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi should be saying, ooh, yeah. Green New Deal? Yeah, let's go with that, because we're going to win elections. Oh, yeah, because guess what? That 15% fringe that James Carville thinks is fringe are young people. And there are more of us. And we're getting older. And we can vote more. And we were not born yesterday. So that fringe is your only lifeline to being relevant, buddy. Not to mention Cori Bush of St. Louis, of Missouri, my bad, is one of the only Congress people also to say that the people who aided and abetted insurrection, like it says in our Constitution, you can no longer do, they should be gone. They should be out. That the crazies in the Republican Party should be gone. Schumer doesn't have the balls to say that. Manchin sure as hell doesn't have the balls to say that. Sinema doesn't have the balls to say that. So, Black Lives Matter, trans rights, these are not pet issues. Just because they are held up by the right wing as so-called pet issues doesn't mean they are. Just because they're seen as identity, oh, your little identity issues, they're not. They're not small. They're about civil rights. They're about whether or not you die in the street with a police officer on your neck or you survive. So the last thing I'll say on this is I've seen leftists play into this all the time. Leftists play into the idea that identity politics and that wokeism, that's the real reason that the left isn't stronger, is because we're too focused on identity and we're too focused on race and gender and not focused enough on class. Well, why not all three? That's been my response. Why not all three? And stop with the Trump and MAGA appeal to the working class. We know they don't. The stats say they don't. Okay? They're boat dads. They're independently wealthy. They fly private jets to go do an insurrection. So none of this populist meet in the middle BS. And none of this, all we have to do is throw Black people and trans people and women's issues under the bus and focus on class and we'll get the government we want. No. And I would like to say that Bernie Sanders' campaign absolutely proved that you don't have to do that. You know? And I don't think that campaign was above criticism when it comes to reaching out and actually working with Black and brown community leaders to be in his campaign. But I think he did a very good job at creating a multiracial, anti-racist, feminist, pro-LGBTQ plus political movement. And I hope leftists remember that when you listen or you platform people like James fucking Carville, or you say, oh, James is right, maybe we are too focused on identity, that is some neo-lib centrist bullshit. Okay? That is the shit that after Hillary lost, the one thing I didn't agree with was people being like, well, did she focus too much on gender? No, she was just a bad candidate. And gender was one of the things that probably the only thing she had, right? Oh, did we focus? No. Shh. We're not going to be we're not going to be baited by that horrible argument. Anywho, why is Chris Cuomo still on CNN? What's going on, Frantifa? If you haven't already, subscribe to this channel right now. Hit that button. And also, you can become a patron and support the show every single week. Get access to bonus episodes and exclusive merchandise. Patreon.com/bitchuation room. Do